guys last saw the car when we were upgrading to a 100 cell race cat, we went ahead and put an intercooler on the car. We also went ahead and got an E30 tune from Stratified Automotive and flashed it as well. I'd like to use this video basically to talk about what it's like living with E30 in a Fiesta ST and all the stuff we deal with on the day-to-day, and also, man, the increased power and torque.
Right now I'm doing the old trip to the gas station. I only go about once a month. Gotta go in the garage, get my 4 gas cans out, put them in the back of the car, and then run there, do my mix. So the first thing I do when I'm about to fill up with E30 is I go in here and change this monitor to fuel level input. This gives me an idea of how much fuel is actually in the car, so that way then we can calculate out how much more E85 and 93 octane we need to add to get our E30 mix. I've noticed that you want to basically round up a little bit. So for 23, I'm going to round up to 25, which means that the fuel tank won't get completely full, but we'll have a very, very accurate representation of how much E30 is actually in the tank. All right, so the next thing I do is go on the computer, figure out exactly how much gas I need. So what I do first is I figure out how much to fuel up the tank, and then I switch it over to my gas can and then just keep adding the total. So that way I only run the E85 pump once and the premium gas pump once. So right now I needed 2.51 gallons. Well, here, wait. 2.51 gallons of E85 plus 1 gallon 33 on the first can, and then the next can needed another 1 gallon 33, so that's 517. And so on and so forth. And we just keep doing this until we get all our figures. And then when we go to the gas station, we always test to make sure that it's actually E85. So I have a little tester in the back of my car. I go ahead and put a little sample in there first before I actually do anything. And then that's how we figure out exactly to make sure it's E85. It's super important. I didn't show this in my example, but my gas station always is at about 83%. So make sure you get tested, because you might not be as lucky as we are here in the Midwest to have really good gas and fuel. I've heard of a lot of places having like E40 at the pump, basically, like down in Georgia or, stuff like that. Just something to be wary of. So get a test kit.
You're going to want to fill up your E85 tester before you leave the house, because there's no water unless you have a water bottle or something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that.
Right on about 82% once you account for the difference in the top. Yeah, that's exactly what I accounted for, so perfect. You really have to be careful though, because winter blend is completely different. They use a completely different formulation. Usually it's like E70 up here, but in other states it could be completely different. I'm not sure, so always test. At least when you're first getting to know a gas station, test it, a couple times, and then always test before winter.
so bad at this. So I got a point buy from an Audi S5 on track, and an M3 owner was like, dang, your Fiesta is quick, it boogies. And he's not wrong. Absolutely, the car is completely transformed. If you do anything, just get a tune, put ethanol in the car. Maybe not go stage 3 or anything like that. Maybe just an intercooler, ethanol. Boom, that would be my recommendation. Those were the two biggest jumps. Tune, intercooler, ethanol. Those are the things that you need there. And the car just feels so happy. Like, it's like, whoa, and you're like thrown back. I mean, it's a Fiesta. It's never gonna throw you back like a GTR or anything like that. But at the same time, it still is respectable for what it is. A small, little, tiny turbo grocery getter car that you can throw all this stuff in the back, go to the racetrack. If it were me and I was to redo the car, all I would do to the car, I wouldn't even put a different exhaust on the car. The first mods I would do, I would put an intercooler on the car, and then I would get an access port, and then I would just switch fuels. And switching fuels is the easiest mod because you don't have to buy anything. You just go to the gas station and you mix the fuels. If you're lucky enough to live in the Midwest and have like E30 fuel available, like at the pump, there's one kind of by my route home that's called Nuvo. They have E30 at the pump, literally at the pump. If you live by one of those places, I wouldn't even think twice. The other things that I have to deal with, like mixing my own gas and stuff like that, that is a little bit of a pain. I'm not gonna lie. I don't particularly like doing that, but I don't mind it at the same time because I go to the gas station once a month, but when I'm there, I look like I'm a scientist or something like that, and it's kind of ridiculous. So I try to do as much of the like math and stuff like that before I get there, but every once in a while you'll go there and then you'll like, oh crap, I overfilled it by 0.10, and you have to add 0.10 to every single one that you did, and then it turns from 0.10 on the first one to then it's 0.20 on the second one, and then blah 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 blah. It's just, that's the only bad part about it, is having to do maths. But other than that, it's a completely free upgrade once you have a tuner to switch fuels. Obviously, you have to pay someone to tune the car. That's another thing. So, paying someone to tune the car, I have a Stratified tune, and it works great. I don't know about any other tuners. I've heard good things about Dizzy tuning. I mean, go on the internet if you want to hear about what's the greatest tuner in the world, blah, blah, blah. I know that for Stratified, for $75, you can get a tune. If you pay an extra, I think, $50, you get the high torque version of the tune, and that includes log revisions. I've gotten 2 from them so far. I haven't sent them any more information to get another one. So